May 2019. 1A. Identified the slope of the supply curve. 4.5. B. Outline the reason why quantity supplied increases as the price rises. You're going to write, at a higher price, the profit margin is greater. So there is an incentive to produce and offer more units. At a higher price, the profit margin is greater. So there is an incentive, incentive, to produce and offer more units. C. Okay, so draw and label the new supply curve on figure 1. You're going to go to figure 1, okay? You're going to start from when the y-axis is 20. When the y-axis is 20, you're going to go upward until it intersects at 40 and 60. So 40y and 60x, it intersects there, and it goes up until it reaches 180 for x, and you label it as S1. D. So using your answer to part C, outline the reason why an increase in costs of production have resulted in a new supply function. You're going to write an increase in costs of production will reduce profitability, causing producers to be less willing to supply. An increase in costs of production will reduce profitability, causing producers to be less willing to supply. Now E. Calculate the change in producer surplus resulting from an increase in cost of production. Bracket 0.5 times 20 times 60,000, bracket closed, minus, bracket open, 0.5 times 20 times 90,000, bracket closed, 0.5 times 20 times 60,000 minus 0.5 times 20 times 90,000 equals minus $300,000. $300,000 minus, huh? Now F. Define price elasticity of supply. You're going to write responsiveness of quantity supplied to a change in price. Responsiveness of supply to a change in price. Okay, now G. Apart from time, explain 2 factors which influence the PES, price elasticity of supply. You're gonna say if the firm has excess capacity available, then increasing output will be easier, so supply will be more price elastic. If the firm has excess capacity available, then increasing output will be easier, so supply will be more elastic. And then for another one, you're gonna write the rate at which costs rise, the rate at which costs rise as output increases, comma, the faster the rate, the lower the PES. The rate at which costs rise as output increases, comma, the faster the rate, the lower the PES. H. With a reference to figure 2, explain how the incidence of taxation on consumers and or producers will be influenced by the price elasticity of supply. Okay. You're gonna write, supply is perfectly inelastic. Supply is perfectly inelastic, and that producers will bear the full burden of the tax. And that producers will bear the full burden of the tax. Then put like a comma or something. Equilibrium price and quantity. Equilibrium price and quantity will not change. Will not change, so that consumers are not affected. Okay, now for I, you have to draw and label the marginal revenue curve for figure 3. Go to figure 3 right now. Okay, what you're gonna do is, when the y-axis is with 300, you're gonna lower it all the way down until you intersect at 100, and it comes all the way down to when x is 30. And you're gonna label that MR. Now J. Calculate the maximum revenue. 150 times 30,000 equals $4,500,000. So $4,500,000. K. Part 1. Calculate the average fixed cost per ticket. You're going to do $3 million divided by 40,000 equals $75. Now part 2. Assuming the event organizers aim to maximize profit. So you're gonna write TR minus TC is maximized. You're gonna write that TR minus TC is maximized. So TR equals 30,000 times $150 equals $4.5 million. TC equals $3 million. Profit equals 4.5 million minus 3 million equals $1.5 million. Okay, now 2. Sketch and label on a diagram to illustrate comparative advantage. Okay, so what you're going to do is, for country X, you're going to make it more steeper. Elə bil ki, aşağıya biraz düz gedir, right? You're going to do Apple harda yazılıb, oradan başla, birinci belə çıxış olur y-axisdə. If you look at the bottom, there's like a little line that goes out. You're going to connect it to there, and you're going to label that as country X. And then what you're going to do, you're going to take from the top of the y-axis, lap it in the corner. You're going to drag it down until the second last, another like y-axis, then connect it and label it country Y. Okay, now B. Outline the reason why country X should specialize, blah, 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 in the production of apples. Okay. Okay, you're gonna write country X should specialize in apples. Country X should specialize in apples because the opportunity cost is lower and specialization should increase output. Country X should specialize in apples because the opportunity cost is lower and specialization should increase output. C. Outline one reason why it not be in a country's best interest to specialize according to the principle of comparative advantage. Okay, you're gonna write safety and environmental standards may be compromised by low quality imports. Safety and environmental standards may be compromised basically, right, by low quality imports. D. Calculate the change in expenditure on imported oranges. You're gonna write 100,000 times 2 minus 40,000 times 2 equals $120,000. E. Part 1. Calculate the change in consumer surplus in country Z. Bracket 0.5 times 160,000 times 1.6. Bracket closed minus bracket open again 0.5 times 100,000 times 1.0. Bracket closed equals $78,000. $78,000. Part 2. Calculate the change in social community surplus as a result of the increase in demand for oranges. You're going to write change in producer surplus equals 0. Change in producer surplus equals 0. Change in producer surplus equals 0. Below that, you're going to write change in community surplus. Change in community surplus equals 78,000 plus 0 equals $78,000. F. State 1 administrative barrier. Okay, you're going to write health and safety procedures. Health and safety procedures. procedures. G. Explain 2 possible economic consequences for the Eurozone if the euro appreciates. You're going to write the value of any foreign debt may be reduced as a smaller amount of euros will be needed to repay the debt. The value of any foreign debt may be reduced as a smaller amount of euros will be needed to repay the debt. Okay, another one you're going to write for that is foreign direct investment inflows. Foreign direct investment inflows may decrease as it becomes more expensive to purchase assets in the Eurozone. Foreign direct investment inflows may decrease as it becomes more expensive to purchase assets in the Eurozone. Okay, now H. Calculate the quantity of euro she will receive for her US, blah, blah, blah. You're going to do 300,000 divided by 1.2. 300,000 divided by 1.2 equals 250,000. 250,000. Now I calculate in US dollars the loss made by Tanya. Okay, you're going to write the new exchange rate. The new exchange rate equals 1 euro equals US dollar 1.20 times 0.9 equals US dollar 1.08. And then you're going to write, below it, you're going to write 250,000 times 1.08 equals US dollar 270,000. $270,000. And then below that, you're going to write loss. So loss equals 270,000 minus 300,000 equals US dollar 30,000. So J, explain 2 reasons why a government might prefer a floating exchange rate for its currency law. You're gonna write the economy can use exchange rate policy. The economy can use exchange rate policy to affect macroeconomic variables such as inflation. The economy can use exchange rate policy to affect macroeconomic variables such as inflation. Then you're going to write the central bank does not need to maintain foreign reserves to be able to intervene in the foreign exchange market. The central bank does not need to maintain foreign reserves to be able to intervene in the foreign exchange market. 3A, calculate the unemployment rate in Fairland. So you're going to write unemployment rate equals unemployed divided by labor force. Unemployment rate equals unemployed divided by labor force times 100 equals labor force employed divided by labor force times 100 equals 0.62 times 231 minus 105 divided by 0.62 times 231 times 100 equals 143 minus 105 divided by 143 times 100. I'm going to repeat the whole thing again. Unemployment rate equals unemployed divided by labor force times 100 equals labor force employed divided by labor force times 100 equals 0.62 times 231 minus 105 divided by 0.62 times 231 times 100 equals 143 minus 105 divided by 143 times 100. The answer is 26.57%. 26.57%. Now B. Outline 2 difficulties in measuring unemployment. You're gonna write sum of the unemployment is hidden. Sum of the unemployment is hidden because some people have given up looking for a job. Sum of the unemployment is hidden because people have given up looking for a job. Some of the, you're going to write again a different thing. So some of the employed are part-time workers and are underemployed. Some of the employed are part-time workers and are underemployed. Now for C, draw and label a curve that illustrates the minimum wage on figure 6. Okay, you go to that. I'm going to quickly. Okay, so if you're on the graph right now, you can see that everything is given. You just need to draw something. Okay, so what you're gonna draw is when the y-axis is 10, you're gonna draw just a straight line like that, and then you're gonna label as WMIN. So W is capital letter and min is small letters. Now D, calculate the resulting unemployment. You're gonna write unemployment equals number of workers willing to supply their labor minus number of workers demanded by firms equals 40 million minus 14 million. So unemployment equals number of workers willing to supply their labor minus number of workers demanded by firms equals 40 million minus 14 million equals 26 million. E. Part 1. Define the term marginal rate of tax. You're going to say it is the proportion of any additional income which must be paid as tax. It is the proportion of any additional income which must be paid as tax. Part 2. Calculate how much additional income tax Fred will need to pay. 3,000 times 10% plus 1,000 times 20% equals $500. Now F. Using an ADAS diagram to support your answer, explain the mechanism through which monetary policy can help an economy reduce the level of unemployment. Okay. So right now, the graph that it shows is completely empty, right? So what you're gonna draw is what you're gonna draw is you're gonna label the y-axis as average price level. Average price level, and the x-axis is real GDP. Okay, so what you're gonna do is the y-axis near the bottom part, you're gonna write APL1. APL1. On top of it, write APL2. Now what you're gonna do is, starting from the top of the y-axis, you're just gonna swoop an AD1. It's an AD1, so near it you're just gonna swoop it down. And then next to it, you're gonna do the same one kind of parallel to it, and you're gonna label it as AD2. Okay, now under APL1, you're gonna start going. Under it. You're gonna go a little bit straight, and then you're gonna curve it upwards. And then you're gonna just completely kind of go up, like super steep going up. And the places where it intersects, and the place where AD1 intersects with the AS, so the thing that you drew upward, that's labeled as AS. So where AD1 and AS intersect, you're going to draw down a line, and you're going to write RGDP1. RGDP1. And where AD2 and AS meet, when they intersect, is RGDP2. By the way, for APL1, you're going to draw an arrow up to APL2, and for RGDP, you're going to draw an arrow to RGDP2. Okay, now G. State 2 interventionist supply-side policies that are likely to increase the demand. You're going to write investment in infrastructure. Investment in infrastructure. And then investment in health. Now H. State 2 market-based supply-side policies that are likely to increase the supply of labor in Fairland. You're going to write personal income of tax cuts. Personal income tax cuts. Personal income tax cuts. And then the other one is reducing unemployment benefits. Reducing unemployment benefits. Now you're going to write using this. So for it's using this information, calculate the value of the Canadian multiplier. You're going to write multiplier equals 1 over, so 1 divided by MPS plus MPT plus MPM equals 1 over 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.1 equals 2.5. I'm going to repeat that again. Multiplier equals 1 over MPS plus MPT plus MPM equals 1 over 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.1 equals 2.5. Now J, using your answer to part 1, calculate the increase in the government spending necessary to increase nominal GDP. So you're going to write change in government spending. Change in government spending equals 100 divided by 2.5 equals $40 billion. $40 billion.